I have a question for the executive office. We're focused on this wing of the jail, which I see as just part of the project. It's the tip of the iceberg. Society and the sheriff deserve a jail that's safe, meets modern code, and this project won't get us there. What's the board's plan or the county's plan for providing a jail? And let me elaborate. I see there's a lot of projects that the board would like to fund. There's funding opportunities on the agenda today. Every meeting we're talking about spending more money. Shouldn't we provide a safe jail for the sheriff to operate before we fund nice-to-have projects?
CEO Antle, yes, I agree with your comments. Yes, my understanding is this is, once we complete this wing, we need to be looking at a full jail remodel or upgrade. What those costs would be at this time, I have no idea. This was just made aware to me in the last few months, so having a clear plan, I don't know. I do know that public safety is a mandate of this board and of this county, so I think it is very critical that we do put it as a priority and start working towards that, and we need to be setting aside money as we move forward. Yes.
And one of the difficulties we have in budgeting, looking at can we afford this project, how much should we borrow, how much debt do we want to assign to the next generation, it becomes important that we understand how much revenue we have and how much we're spending. I'm 3.5 years into a term. I worry I'm coming up on the point where I can no longer use the excuse, I'm new here. And yet in the 3.5 years, I haven't been able to get a credible financial report. I understand we have 3 different sets of books. They all differ. Why? I look at the last 15 years of budget books, and we retell history just about every year. You look at what happened the year before and the year before that, and then the next year we change what happened. I don't have a good sense of how much cash flow we have. I haven't seen a balance sheet. The executive office doesn't have access to the financial systems to generate these reports, so I'm not looking at the CEO. And I think the auditor is struggling with software and probably inheriting a long history of some amount of accounting dysfunction. She just took the job. I don't see culpability there. But bottom line, somebody in this county needs to be able to provide books that make sense. The board's in a position of balancing a budget, approving a budget, funding some of these high expense projects like a compliant jail, potentially COLA adjustments for our hardworking employees. How do we do it if we don't have books that we can trust?
Darcy Antle, CEO, I would agree with you. I'm not quite sure. I think a lot of the reason we have asked for a pause in the labor negotiations is that we don't know, have clear vision on what the books are and where the finances are, and those discussions need to continue with the new auditor controller.
And so I think we want to record direction from the board, support for a letter and other outreach to the state in coordination, the board, the CEO, and Sheriff Kendall. And I counted a majority for a closed session on the 16th to review jail obligations and any potential liabilities we may suffer. And County Council?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm happy to do that. I just want to make sure that I'm clear for the benefit of the board and frankly for the public as well. There'd be no discussion of any sort of spending decisions. At that point, it would merely be a review of any potential liability issues related to current federal and state mandates and the condition of the current building, and then any decisions the board might make with respect to waiving any privilege.
Understood. I think the board understands that. And then last, I would like to ask my colleagues for support on direction to the CEO's office to reach out to the state controller's office to help us get our books in order. Because in 3.5 years, I haven't seen that we're able to do it. And I can't make excuses at this point. I think the public, the employees, staff, supervisors, everybody deserves to have financials that we can trust. Supervisor Mulhern?
I'm in support of that. Thank you for bringing it up. I did want to just mention that it is incredibly important that this board get on top of future jail needs for future boards and for our community. It is also really important that we run a parallel track with trying to work on upstream programs and new ideas that our community and our state have coming forward to deal with mental health, to deal with substance use. We can't simply halt all of the other work that we do to prevent those things, to prevent crimes, to keep our kids busy, to all of the things that we know upstream help with addiction and crime. We can't stop doing that work. So I just want to be very clear that it is important that we pay attention to what happens to the jail and that we do plan for the future of the jail. But the other work that we're doing needs to really run parallel because it's just as important.
Supervisor Haschek?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the issue that you brought up about reaching out to the state to get help with our books and everything. And, you know, it's just really ironic that this board voted to consolidate the two positions when those people in those positions said, don't do it, and that consolidation would not help. And now we're at the position where we're asking the state to step in to help out this situation that in part we created as a board.
So I want to respond to that. A part of the reason I supported the consolidation is because I couldn't get financials. And, you know, we had an auditor retire, and shortly after I learned we have a $4.5 million hole in the health plan. Why didn't this board know that we had a $4.5 million hole? We would have planned accordingly. Maybe we would have addressed it as it was building. So, you know, I don't want to point the finger. I don't think there's a single person in this organization now or in the past who has who's to blame for the situation. I think it's collectively, there's an institutional problem here that this county doesn't have a set of books that anybody believes. And I mean, you could ask, there's nobody in the county today, you could ask, how much money do we have to our name and get a straight answer? How can I do my job voting on a budget if I don't know how much money we have to spend? Or, frankly, how much we're spending? And so when it comes to projects like the jail, that's an obligation. It's not fair to the sheriff to give him a facility that doesn't meet requirements and then later blame them if there's a problem. It's the board's problem. We have to fund that. How do we allocate enough for it if we don't know how much we have? And I don't see what this has to do with consolidating offices. It has to do with a set of books that's approved by an outside auditor that we can trust. Now, John, we do have an outside audit that happens. When was the last time this board, you and I sitting on this board, voted to direct the auditor to incorporate the outside audit recommendations? I don't think I've done it yet. I don't know if past boards have done it, but it means we're paying for an outside audit. We're getting advice about changes we need to make to meet accounting principles, and then we're ignoring the advice. So how much accumulated error is there, and over how many years? Is it 10 years? Is it 30 years? Is that why we have different sets of books with different numbers? Because we never incorporate the outside audit findings? I think we have a financial crisis here, and we just don't know how bad it is. And so I'm looking for support. I heard one from Supervisor Mulhern to get the state involved in helping us figure out how to clean up our mess. Supervisor McGordy.
So when it comes to handling money, I kind of challenge you a little bit, Supervisor Hasjack, because you want to have a meritocracy. You want to have people who really know finances, who are properly trained. That's why I've supported a professional financial office, which is what most big organizations have, where you appoint people based on their skill set and a proven track record of handling money well. And if we look back through Mendocino County's history at the auditor, controller, and tax collector treasurer, we don't see that pattern, quite honestly. And I think our attempt to consolidate the offices is in the hope that we would have collaboration and some accountability, which right now as elected officials, they don't have to listen to us. And I see that as a real problem when we're trying to plan our future, when we're about to saddle our children with money that we spend without really fully knowing what we have. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I still think we're going to need long-term structural change in county government on this. This will not go away until we do. And I look at Yolo County as the model where they've done that, where they consolidated their treasurer, tax collector, auditor, controller, and then eventually removed the office and created a department that handles money. And I think that's a more progressive and a more accountable way to handle finances.
Supervisor Jordy.
Yeah, I would support requesting the state controller's office to give any assistance available to us to get a better understanding of the county's finances.
Supervisor McGordy. Okay. I don't see any more hands. Sheriff Kendall, do you have anything you would like to add?
No, I will continue to push on this as hard as I possibly can. I'll request the support of the board and some letters and various other things, but we're at a time right now, and I think that you've made it perfectly clear we can't afford not to go forward with this jail project. Supervisor Mulheron's comments are well taken, and I understand exactly what she's talking about, and a lot of the work that we will be doing in there will be upstream work. A lot of the work that we're taking on today, and we have been taking on, we've been taking on to get that under our belt before the new facility or the new wing of the jail opens. That will only enhance our ability to continue with the work that we've started.
Okay, I have a couple comments. One is I've learned the county owes some payments to members of the public. And the budget ad hoc met with executive office finance team and the auditor, and I got a lot of reasons why we're blocked, software, and we don't have enough staff. Some of these payments are over 2 years. And I think those people, if they were to file a claim in court, we would look embarrassed. As a county, we would say, well, our accounting software is delayed. The vendor's not working with us, and we don't have enough staff, and the judge would tell us to pay it. It's owed. So I've suggested some ideas like write a check, note it somewhere, a ledger, a Post-it note, and figure out the accounting details later, but get people their money. I mean, some of these people are fixed income, have health problems. It's their money, we owe it. Another possibility is just pay it in good faith, bill them later if we find there's a discrepancy, but at least don't hold their money in the interim. I haven't been able to get anywhere, so I'm bringing it to the full board. I think we have a problem. It makes me wonder how many other outstanding payments do we have that aren't being processed and why. I would like the executive office to come back with an analysis of the situation. I know we can't discuss it now, but I don't feel comfortable with the county owing people money for multiple years and not having a plan in mind. Supervisor Mulhern?
I just support that recommendation, and I get a lot of those calls as well, so I support that.
Well, thank you. And it's becoming alarming, the number of people. I don't know how many payments are outstanding. CEO, you have any feedback?
Certainly, I'll look into it, and we can do the analysis. We'll work with the assessor, clerk recorder, and the auditor controller.
Okay, and then the outside audit, I would like the outside auditor to come forward and tell us what they know, and either the auditor or the executive office, somebody tell us, are we supposed to be incorporating the outside audits? We do the audit and we don't incorporate the recommendations. Why? And what would change if we were to incorporate those? At this point, how long would it take to incorporate all of the recommendations that haven't yet been incorporated? If we have to go back 10 or 15 years, is that something we can do quickly?
CEO Antle, I have a meeting with the outside auditors tomorrow, so I'll be able to find more detail to these issues. And to Supervisor Mulhern's request, we do have a hold on agenda, the second meeting in September, to review and discuss the ACFR and the financial statement.
And finally, I don't think we understand the point of an outside audit. It's not paying for the audit. It's responding to the audit. Anybody can pay for an audit and ignore it. There's no value there. The value is you look at the feedback that's provided and you make changes to your accounting records. And I would like to know how long it's been since we've applied the recommendations and why so far nobody can tell me. I guess I'm kind of stunned, and this has been building meeting after meeting, and I was hoping I could bring an item to the board to get support on some direction, I'm more lost now than ever. Every question I ask is answered with more ambiguity. So CEO Antle, the final question for you. Do you think I'm off base, or is this what you're finding as well? You're new to the job like I am.
Correct. I agree with you that we need to continue to look into this. It feels to me, I've been working with the budget now for 3 or 4 years, and each time I'm learning more and more about what I would consider the need for more transparency and accuracy into the system. And again, the current auditor controller kind of inherited a position, but I think we all need to work collaboratively to dig through this and find out where we really are, what is our real position, and what is the correct document to be referring back to.
Thank you.